Hey everyone, I'm Lizzie. Welcome to another sewing tutorial. Today I'm gonna show you how to make this gorgeous backless bow dress. This beauty got a long bow tie at the back, perfect for making a statement at any event. So to start this project, grab the pattern I link in the description below, print it out and cut the pattern in pieces. Then you need to fold your fabric in half lengthwise. Lay all of the patterns on the fabric and cut them out. You need to cut on main fabric and on linings. Then for the bow part, if you want to make it in different colors or different fabrics like mine, feel free to do that. Okay, we gonna align the two side panels with the front centerpiece, making sure that the right sides together. Match up the notches and pin everything in place. Then we're gonna sew the seam together. Since we are sewing a curved line with a straight one, be careful not to create any gathers as you sew. Here you need to manipulate the fabric a little bit. Here I'm making some clips on the seam allowance, particularly in the curved section. So now when I'm ironing it flat, it's much easier. You also don't need a tailor ham like mine, just use your pillow, it's okay. As you can see, my seam allowance looks very visible and big. I'm gonna trim it down a bit. Take the front skirt piece and draw the duck legs, and then fold along the center. Now I'm gonna sew it till the dot finishing point. I like to leave about 10 cm thread tail to tie it off. This technique reduces bulk by avoiding a back stitch. You can see that here I'm lifting the fabric while ironing the dots. This is actually gonna help preventing any wrinkles at the dot points. Then join the front top and the front skirt at the waistline. Match the princess seam point with the duck legs, pin them and sew them together using a 1 cm seam allowance. After ironing the seams open, this is how it looks like. Take your back top and align it with the back skirt at the waistline, and sew them together and press the seam open. On the curved line of the open back, I'm gonna use the fusible interfacing tape. This is to prevent the opening seams become wavy over time. Now let's join the front and the back together as one piece. So I put them right side touching each other and then sew the shoulder line and the two side seams together. At this stage, we get a glimpse of how the dress shapes our bodies. Me, I absolutely adore how the fit is, and the length is just perfect for me. I am marking the 1 cm seam allowance, then 1 cm from the top edge where the zipper starts, and normally you should have a notch where the zipper ends. Then I place the zipper right side down and pin it so the teeth align with my mark line. To sew the zipper, I'm changing to the invisible zipper foot to get the stitch very near to the teeth. For the other side, I'm just gonna flip the zipper over to pin with the skirt. I strongly suggest that you should double check the mark and the notch of both sides so that they really match each other. I then bring it over my sewing machine and continue to sew the other side. So now we can zip up the zipper, and as you can see, it's perfectly matched on the top. We're gonna continue to finish the remaining seam of the center back. So with the two right sides touching each other, we're gonna pin the two edges together. The tricky part here is that you have to get as close as possible with the previous stitch. And after you finish this stitch, the zipper installation is done. Next, we're gonna do some preparation for our bow ties. You can see that there's one side unsewn. This is where we're gonna attach the bow into our pieces. Before assembling the lining, let's trim the lining skirt. Take the lining skirt's front and back pieces and mark line 3.8 cm shorter than the hemline. Cut along this line to create a new hemline for the lining. This is to ensure that when the main fabric's hemline is folded inward, the lining's hemline will be correctly connected and remain shorter. I repeated exactly the same process as assembling the main fabric piece to sew the lining, and this is how it is, of course, without a zipper. We were then using the lining to envelop the main fabric piece, aligning everything well and pin them together. Firstly, I stitched the neckline together. We need to trim the seam allowance to 0.5. I also clipped the seam allowance to help turn it right side out easier. Now I'm doing understitch on the lining, making sure that all the seam allowance is pushed to the lining side, and we need to keep the stitch near to the edge. To continue, we will have to prepare our button loops. Of course, you can totally skip this part if you have an elastic strap or elastic thread like this one. So you need to fold in half lengthwise a bias cut stripe and sew a narrow seam allowance. Then insert the thread in and make sure that it's secure. Then with the eye of the needle, I insert the needle into the casing and feed it all the way through. Then I'm trying to pull the fabric into the casing. And here it came out. You have your spaghetti strap. Then cut it into two pieces. We need to make sure that our button can get through the loops. And don't forget to add 2 cm for the seam allowance. Then I just hand tack to secure the loop and pin it in place on my dress. It should be sandwiched between the main fabric and the lining layer. Now I'm gonna sandwich the bow in between the lining and the shell. Pin them in place according to the notches to prepare sewing them together. Over to the sewing machine and stitch all the way down to the zipper to attach the main fabric and the lining. Now when we reach the zipper, we will just place the lining edge on the zipper and stitch to attach the 3 layers all together. This stitch doesn't need to be near to the zipper teeth as we did with the main fabric. But as you get close to the end of the zipper, bring the needle near to the foot so later on when we finish the remaining seam, it will help smooth out the seam. So just like we did with other curved lines, I'm clipping the seam allowance here, so later on I'm gonna turn it right side out nicely. Then we will need to clip also the corners where the front and the top meet. Okay, we're all good now. Let's turn the right side out. Let's finish up sewing the seam here. So I'm pinning the rest of the seam and then sew it with 1 cm seam allowance, using my zipper foot to get as close to the previous stitch as possible. Then for the hemline, we will fold it by 2 cm and press it down to create a crease. The finishing should look like this. Take the 2 hemlines right sides facing each other and pull them out from the armhole opening. From here, you can pin the lining and the main fabric hemline together. Once you're done, bring it over the machine and stitch all the way around the hem. Okay, time for the sleeves. On the sleeve pattern, you'll find all of the information, the direction, the numbers, and all of the notches for making the pleats. We will first fold the 2 small pleats first and secure them with pin. Then we will fold the 2 big pleats. You can see that the big pleats supposed to overlap the small ones. I pin all of them in place carefully and then making a basting stitch to make sure that they won't move. with the right side together, I'm gonna pin and sew the sleeve seam. Then bring them to the serger and serge the sleeve hem. If you don't have a serger, you can totally use a zigzag stitch here. Then with the right side out, we're gonna insert the sleeve into the armhole. I pin the bottom part first and then match the shoulder point with the top of my armhole sleeves where the two big pleats meet. Then sew all around the armholes, and I keep double checking to make sure that I sew all the 3 layers together. Depends on the fabric you use, but in my case, the result is not extra puffy enough for me, so I add sleeve heads. It's very simple. You just need to cut 2 rectangulars, fold them in half lengthwise and fold again in half crosswise. Round up the corner like this, and then I make 2 stitches along the curved lines and pull out the 2 top threads to create gathers. When you reach 17 cm of gathers, you can tie off the thread. And this is how the puffy sleeve heads look like. So in order to attach the sleeve heads to the armhole, we need to determine the center point of the sleeve heads and then match it with the shoulder points. The sleeve heads need to be facing outward to support the sleeve. Then bring it over the machine and stitch with only 0.7 cm seam allowance. This is to not going over the previous stitch. Then serge the whole armhole. Okay, last step, I promise. We will finish the sleeve hem by double fold. First we fold by 1 cm and then by 2 cm. Press it nicely, and I'm making an invisible hand stitch here. But please feel free to machine stitch if you prefer. Oh, I forgot that we didn't sew our button, so only this left and then the dress is done. I can't believe that you make it until the end with me. Thank you so much, and don't forget to tag me in your creation. It would make me so happy to see them. Anyway, thanks again and see you in the next one. Bye!